recorded because I know not everybody can be on live. And so I think it's going to be really great for the Power Hour stuff to share. So if we just want to jump on in so we don't run out of time, I think that works.
Yep. We're good. We're recording. We're ready to go.
Cool. And I don't even remember who was first. So
I don't either. I was going to log on.
Pull up on my phone. Was it you, Julianne? Or Meg? It was Meg. You were first.
Oh, yeah, because she has to go just in case. Okay, hold on. I'm excited. I'm going to get ready because we're like power houring together. I ain't playing. I didn't do my power hour yet today.
So, yeah, Nicole and Kelsey, I don't know if there's anyone else on that I can't see. So the power hour, this is like kind of what you want to do for your business each day. And I know that we all do it in different ways. Like I don't usually do a full power hour. I break mine up into little chunks throughout the day because of working full time. Other people do the full hour, but we asked some of the leaders on the team to share kind of what they do, because it really just helps, I think, one, to see what other people are doing to move their business forward, but then also like as they're talking, we can go along and do it with them because they have really good ideas and thoughts. So,
and I think it also it's good to show that it can be done in an hour. Like if you can do it in an hour and distracted, you can really get a lot accomplished in an hour. So,
okay, we're gonna go Meg and then Julie, then Jessica, Rachel has a doctor's appointment, and then Katie after that. So
I have a really dumb question first.
Yeah.
No dumb questions.
Okay. So how do I make these Zoom calls so I only have one screen on my laptop. So how can I simultaneously work and watch the Zoom call without it going behind?
If you, on the top right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little like quad, like a little square looking thing that exits the full screen mode. So if you click on that, you can just like minimize, and I think it actually minimizes the whole thing, or you can shrink it down so you're working on two screens.
So I just shrink, and the same thing, like I take the corner, on your regular, like when you're looking at Facebook, your regular, right. So the little, where it says maximize or minimize, I minimize it, and then I take a corner of it and shrink it down so it's literally each screen. I have two screens on my things. I see you guys here on that, and then on the left side is my Facebook.
Yeah, so I'll shrink down both windows. Okay. Zoom is shrunk, and then your like Facebook is shrunk.
Okay, thanks.
That's not a dumb question. It honestly took me probably embarrassingly long to figure that out. And then if you guys have any slides or anything, I don't know that you guys do, but if you want to share anything, you can just share your screen, and that will share it with the group. So, Meg,
all right.
You up?
Ready when you are. The clock is ticking.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I'm in my truck and I'm like plugged in so I can hear everybody. So hopefully it's not too loud. So I am going to talk a little bit about adding to your network, which is something that I decided midsummer to really just hit and run with and see what happened. And it was kind of cool what happened on Facebook, and now I'm just starting to kind of do the same thing on Instagram and gain some more followers there. And pretty much the point is just to reach out and make connections with people that maybe you've never met before, but you have mutual friends with, so that you can kind of get out of that warm market and have just like a ton more people to basically like form relationships with, and then invite to groups eventually, hopefully. This was like the hardest thing for me, just because of, I think, my history and my past, and moving back to like a small town and everything that I went through. It was really hard for me to like connect with people. So it was really hard, but I just decided one day that I was going to start sending 20 friend requests a day. And from there, it kind of became a game. Like I tried to see how many I could send and how many I could get accepted. And I think when I started coaching back in July, I wish I would have written it down, but I think I had like maybe
I think you froze.
4,500. So I froze? Oh, am I still frozen?
You're good now.
I'm good. Okay. What was the last thing?
The last thing you were saying, you were just starting to say how many contacts you had when you started.
Oh, okay. I had about 1,100. And now I have over my friends list grew and my network. And so I'm implementing this and I think the biggest thing is through just expanding your network. I kind of had three things. One was when you do a post to try to drive comments before doing a call to action, it increases your comments like crazy, especially if you are tapping into a certain niche. Like I'm kind of going for like the horse girl area. So if I want a post that's going to drive a lot of comments, I'll ask about like a hair product or a blanket or something like that, because my horse girl always comes through and I'll get like 100 and some comments. It's great. The other thing I noticed was free groups. It's a lot easier to invite people to my free groups with a bigger friends list. Last night I went through and I added 500 invites to my free group that I'm starting next week for my horse girls. And again, that was pretty easy just because I think I knocked it out in like, it maybe took me like 45 minutes because I kind of sifted through a little bit. But that's another thing that when you grow your market is a little bit, it's a little bit easier to have more people connect to, so you don't feel like you're hitting the same people all the time. And then the last thing, I have not been driving my like page super strongly because I've been focusing on inviting a lot more and my time's just been limited the past couple weeks. But then from my friend requests, I invite people to like my like page as well, especially now that I'm getting close to my friend limit on Facebook. So that's kind of my goal, is to get them as a Facebook friend and then get them involved in my like page. And then I'm not really sure what my next step is going to be from there. If I'm going to kind of unfriend people that already like my page, that's kind of my next game plan. So that's just what I've done for adding to my network. I know it's scary, and it was really, really scary for me, but I got like over 3,000 friends in. So I probably averaged about 500 a month, I would say.
Where were you finding, I think one of the biggest questions people have oftentimes is like, where were you finding these people? Can you share kind of how you connected with them?
Totally. So pretty much my process is I was specifically looking for horse girls because that's what I want to tap into. So I would go to girls that I knew were really involved in the horse community, and I'd click on their page and I would go to their friends and I'd go through their suggestions for me to friend. And I would just go through, like, I'm friends with a few former Miss Rodeo Americas and Miss Rodeo Oregon. So I would go to their pages and click through, and I'd select rodeo queens, barrel racers. Kind of the Western side was my first because I knew more people and I had a feeling I would get a stronger response from that. And then I shifted towards English girls after that maybe it was a little bit less likely that they would add. I eventually got to the point where some people I have 300 mutual friends with and I've never met them, but they add me like right away. So it worked pretty well to go to friends pages and then like click through and find mutual friends that way.
And for those of you guys who are nervous about privacy stuff, you can toggle your friends list or even toggle who sees your posts. So you can make it like only close friends and family. If you only want to show pictures of your kids, for instance, to those people, like I toggle my privacy settings all the time of like who can see what posts, like of Caleb and stuff, for instance. So don't feel like if you're massively adding to your network that they're going to see everything you do, because they won't. So
exactly. Yep.
I do also think so I, like Meg, have a very, like, I know privacy is like everybody's big stickler, but I've also had a very traumatic life event where I am like in fear of my life, of someone finding me, right? So, I mean, there's people who are just like, oh, I don't want anyone in my world, where there's a difference between people who've had traumatic life events, right? Like it's a big deal for everybody, but I also, coming from something like that, where literally I had someone who could have killed me, I didn't want anyone, I did not add. That's why I started a like page, because I was like, I'm going to do a like page. But truly, when you start doing this, your Facebook is your business now. It's not anything personal. The personal stuff, I tried doing that, like excluding and keeping certain lists and doing all that, but it's a ton of extra work. So I say if that's something that's still important to you, like connecting with your family and old friends and stuff like that, like just make that something that you do on the side. Like start something different. Like there's someone that with my in-laws, I just share an album on my iPhone and they can see all the kids' pictures on there. We can text, like form regular relationships like you would, because now at this point it's your business, and I don't even look at it as like a personal thing anymore. I mean, if my family wants to check in on the kids and see how they're doing and all that, they can see occasional pictures, but everybody knows it's my business, and that's all it is for me at all. Because it was, like I'm telling you guys, it was a very traumatic life experience. So I did keep those separate exclusive lists where I'm like, I don't want everyone to see everything. I'm not going to make all my posts public. Like, I did that whole thing, but it was so time consuming and very hard to manage when you're trying to get your power hour in and do all your other stuff. So personally, as someone who's been through something like that, and, I know where every single one of you is coming from that aspect. You kind of have to kind of get over it and just do it if you really want to grow your business at a faster rate and see success.
I found a lot of people too from doing ads in like online garage sale stuff. Actually, I think, Kelsey, that's how we connected, where I had done like a free group ad and posted it in an online garage sale. And then everybody who responded to that, I would go through and add them as friends. So that can be a really great place to do as well. Do you guys have questions for Meg, or if there are other tips for like Nicole? I'm thinking you've been around a little while. Yeah, Nicole, go for it. You just unmute yourself. You should see a little microphone with a red line. There you go.
So Meg, my question is, do you go through and private message every single person that you end up adding as a friend? Because I've seen two different things. I've seen, send a message so that they see your feed. But then another video that got posted in our group said, you don't have to do that because they'll eventually I don't know. So I was just curious what you do.
I try to, or at least like hop on and say like, just like send a really generic message like, thanks for the ad. I hope you had a great day, or, thanks for the ad. I hope you enjoyed your weekend or something. I got to the point where, quite frankly, I was adding so fast and then getting friend requests that I kind of was in over my head before I realized it. And I was spending more of my time trying to send invites and keep up with that than messaging a little bit. So now I'm kind of playing catch up, and I'm going through and kind of liking and commenting on pictures of people, and then eventually sending them like a hey girl message. Ideally, yes, I would send them just like, hey, thanks for the ad. Like, glad we connected. Like, how do you know so-and-so? If it was, one of my close friends that we were mutual with, or just a generic, like, hey, thanks for the ad.
Okay.
I think algorithm, if you do that, they see your stuff more and quickly. So I would suggest doing it if you have the time. I just flat ran out of time.
I have another question actually for Monique. My husband is an attorney locally, and he used to work for the local prosecutor's office, and now he's in private practice. And it's the kind of business where he and the other coworkers like do get death threats from defendants and things like that. And so I've been sort of not knowing exactly how to, because I want to make my Facebook profile public, but we're also trying to be super careful about who can see what about our son and like where we live. And
okay, so I have two things that I can give you two different suggestions. For me personally, because I had that experience and everything that I went through, I keep, and for a different reason, but I keep my page, I do not go public with it. And the reason why I don't, it has nothing to do with that anymore. It's a business strategy. I keep that private because I feel like people feel like they're in a group and they want to be your friend. I do certain posts, like I'll do some workout posts, some like call to action posts. I'll make them public on purpose, or if people share my quotes, I make them public so that a stranger can come by and scroll and see what I'm about, what I'm doing. It's not just this blank like person who added them as a friend. Okay. But they are more likely to accept my friend request because they see that, and then they're in my world. And so then I allow them into my, like, see certain things in my world. Otherwise, they can just follow my public page, which has a lot of the same stuff, but it's not personal. Like, you're not going to see my very funny things. You're not going to see, I don't post my unicorn stuff on my like page. I don't post anything about my kids on my like page. Like I keep that very public and straightforward. Like I'm a health and fitness coach and this is what you're going to get from me. My life is my life and I allow certain people into it, even though I've like allowed 2,600 people into it who I don't know personally. They will eventually get to know me personally if they accept my request. So for me, it's a bit of business strategy now. But on your end of it, we have a coach who's in, I want to say like a Rising Stars or something like that, whose husband is also in something like that, like law enforcement or some capacity like that. And she actually uses a different, like her maiden last name. Instead of using her married last name, she changed her Facebook to her maiden last name. So instead of you being Nicole Nelson, you'd be Nicole whoever you were before that. So there's no association to it at all. People would never know who your husband was unless you said it and mentioned it and anything like that. So
there's actually a top 10 coach whose husband is a Navy SEAL. And he uses her.
She uses a different name. She doesn't.
Yeah, she's one of the top coaches in the network. And you see her, she'll talk about her husband every so often, and you know he's in the armed forces. But if you know her story a little bit, she's very careful with what she's doing and what she's talking about and what she's saying about their life. Okay. And I do the same thing Monique does, where like all my workout stuff is public, but anything that has to do with my personal life is only my friends that can see that.
Okay. And does everybody have a like page? I was just curious.
It's on my goal list. I don't yet, but I know that's my next step because I've exhausted my warm market. I just want to add to what Monique and Abby were saying. I also I used to work in inpatient psychiatric treatment where the kids would memorize our license plate numbers and threaten to kill us. And so my page is not public either. But at the same time, I've been working, sometimes I forget, but on making my fitness posts public because I don't care if people see that really, and they're not my friend. If people see that, and then people can share your posts. I've actually had people share my posts or calls to actions on their page. So yeah, that answers your question. My page isn't public either.
All right. Thank you.
That transitions super well into what you're going to talk about, Julianne, of hey girl messages and stuff.
Yeah. Hey girl. Those are my favorite. So I struggled with these for a long time.
I'm just going to interrupt real quick. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
So while we're doing this, you should be spending the time while the person's talking, doing the task that they're talking about. So go in and add 20 friends, send 20 friend requests and just shoot those off and be done with it. And then after that, Julianne's going to tell you about sending Hey Girls. So you'll go into your recently accepted friends list and then do the task that she's telling you guys to do. So as we go through this in an hour, we'll have done our power hour for the day. Does that make sense?
Oh, smart.
Do you want me to wait for a minute while people add?
No.
Okay. Okay. So, hey girls, I used to get really overwhelmed with these because I would not know what to say, or I would scroll the news feed, which is really dangerous because that takes up your entire power hour and then you get nothing done. So I've found a few different things that make it a little bit more methodical without losing the authenticity, because that was my other big fear, was not seeming authentic. So one of the tips I stole from another Beachbody coach on one of our dream team calls is using the birthdays as a reason to hey girl people, and not on their birthday, but the day after. And when she shared that, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I not think of this sooner? So if you go to your Facebook page and you can see birthdays, and then you can click on upcoming birthdays. Then you can also see past birthdays. Then you can message people the day after their birthday when they're probably getting a lot less messages and Facebook notifications. And I literally just say, hey girl, sorry I'm a day late, but I hope you had a great birthday. Did you get to do anything fun? How are you? And then a lot of times they'll write back, oh, blah, blah, I went out to dinner and it was great. And then a lot of times they ask, how are you? And I'm like, well, great. Glad you asked. Thanks. And then that gives me a chance to just be like, I've been doing great, really busy with work, and I've been doing health and fitness coaching on the side. And then oftentimes they'll message back from that and say, yeah, I've seen your posts. I could lose some weight, LOL. And then doors opened. And it doesn't always happen like that, but a lot of times it does. And it wasn't me. I've seen memes making fun of Beachbody saying hey girl, we haven't talked in 18 years. Have you heard about Beachbody? So don't do that. But if you can find a reason or a point of connection to hey girl, it's a lot more effective. So I like to do birthdays, and that's just become a routine part of my power hour. That's usually how I started off. Just hammer through them. Doesn't take very long. Another, I guess, market for Hey Girls is people who like my posts. So you can be, I guess, sometimes I'm a little more direct, sometimes I'm a little more indirect, but sometimes I'll literally just message someone who's been liking things and say, hey girl, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot. Let me know if I can help you in your health and fitness journey in any way. And then that opens the door. Or sometimes if I have a challenge group, I'll almost use their liking my post as a hey girl / invite. And then another thing that I do, I think to maintain the authenticity of Hey Girls, I try to find like a point of connection between me and whoever I'm messaging, or a purpose for messaging them. So it just doesn't seem totally out of the blue. So for that reason, I try to make each challenge group that I do each month have a different theme, because then it gives me a new opportunity to connect with people specifically about that theme. So instead of, do you want to join my group in March? Do you want to join my group in April? Do you want to join my group in May? It's like for example, this month, my group is how to fit it all in for busy people. So I sent so many Hey Girls that were like, hey girl, I love all the pictures you're posting of your kids. They're so adorable. It looks like you're super busy. So I wanted to reach out to you and let you know that my next challenge group is designed for those of us who are really busy and how to fit it all in. Is this something that you'd be interested in? And kind of creating that point of connection. Or after New Year's, what are your New Year's goals? Or I noticed you have an upcoming vacation. My next group is focusing on getting summer ready, or something like that, where it can be like a more direct hey girl / invitation. That's I found works well, and I think feels a little more authentic to me anyways. And then the last one I do is like, I know it's dangerous to scroll the newsfeed, but literally today I saw one girl post something about how she was looking for ways to make money from at home. And so 5 minutes before the call right now, I messaged her and I said, hey girl, I saw your newsfeed post. And then I basically just asked her if health and fitness coaching was something she'd be interested in. And she is, and she wants me to add her to our next sneak peek group. So just like, I mean, there's so many different ways. And I think the thing that I've learned is there's no formula for Hey Girls. There's templates and scripts you can use, but sometimes one thing will work, sometimes another thing will work. And the point, I think, is consistency, and just to continue adding, trying new things, experimenting. And if you're being consistent, you will get results. So hopefully while I was talking, you were able to at least add the birthdays and see if you, like Meg said, if you have any friends that you just added, it's great to shoot them a hey girl message real quick. And what I do?
I was doing that to all my likes from my coaching post last night, so thank you.
You got so many likes, Abby, on your grocery. And
I know.
Will you send me a message? Will you add me to your email list? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing that next week.
The great thing is, though, I've done things like that before, and what I've realized is the Facebook algorithm, if you can get someone to comment, as soon as they comment, more people see. So I was like, the first time someone was like, I think the very first comment on there was just like agreeing with me. And I was like, perfect, somewhat, because then I can respond and it will drive traffic. And so the more people were commenting, the more people were seeing it. And now I have all these people I'm just going to add on and so in the email last night, it was a Hey Girl email, basically. It was like, here's my list. Here's actually the recipes I'm using. I kept it color-coded because I use these awesome portion control containers. So let me know if you have questions on how those work. And my next group is coming up. So it's like easy in right there. Yeah, do that with groceries. I think simple things, like, people can overthink it, but those simple everyday things that we all do, it's like, okay, what is Julianne doing different that's working for her? I know she's just as busy as I am. And so that can help for sure. Do you guys have questions for Julianne? That was super good. Thank you.
No, that was really helpful, because I do send the birthday message, but I do it the day of the birthday. So I never heard to do it after when they have.
I heard that call too, and I thought it was genius.
So good.
Yeah, because it doesn't get lost in the pile of all the birthday notifications.
Mm-hmm. And I add, how are you? Because then a lot of times they ask me back.
Yeah. That was super good. Any questions for Julianne? Is Jessica on the call right now? I'm not sure that she is. I know she maybe was going to be at work, possibly.
I think she just commented on our group, the Business Builders group. So I don't know what she's.
I know Rachel can't be on. We were going to talk about inviting. Jessica was. So one of us, if there's one of you guys that wants to talk about inviting, can totally do that, or Monique or I can talk about it too.
Jess can't do it.
Okay, cool. I don't know if Julianne, you have, or anyone else has any insight on inviting, but Monique and I can definitely chat about it for 5 minutes if you guys don't want to talk about it.
I mean, I think inviting can tie into adding
Totally.
people on your network and tie into Hey Girls and tie into anything. So I think it'd be really interesting to hear from whoever has things to share, like what are some of the most, I guess, effective ways you found of inviting? And are we addressing this separately from calls to action, or?
Yeah, I think the calls to action was more like the post itself as opposed to like the follow-up, where the invite was more the follow-up.
So what have y'all found is most effective for you? Because I found like hit and miss things. Sometimes I'm like, yes, I found the way, and then something else will work.
Are we talking about inviting or call to action?
Inviting.
So I do things a little different. It's funny because I was thinking about our call this morning when I was driving, and just how we can get so many different tips from so many different coaches and all the calls we listen to. Like the National Wake Up Call, I think, is what sparked this in my brain, because we can all do things so differently and they will completely work for each person, but be a completely different way to do it. And I think what kind of messed me up a lot is I would be doing one way, and then I would hear like a top coach or another coach say, oh, well, I'm doing it this way. Like I don't like how Julianne says, like, she doesn't ever just send a cold invite. She always like does the Hey Girl thing and like whatever. Like, I don't care. I cold invite, and I truly, because my personality, I am like, I hate the little chit chat. Like, just get me to the point. I don't want to chit chat with you. I don't want to like do all that. Oh, how are you? Okay. That like can be drawn out for a week. And I've tried it because I did, what some other top coaches were saying, like always send a Hey Girl, always get to know them, always figure that whole thing out. And for me, I need results fast, and that takes forever. It can drag and drag and drag to the point where you're like, then it can get to a certain point for me where it's like, oh my God, where do I stick the invite in now? Like I started this to like kind of invite them, and now it feels awkward because we're like in this friend zone type thing. You know what I mean? It's just like weird. So that doesn't work for me. I personally like to just go for the jugular, and because I do not hide the fact that I'm a coach. It's in there. And that's the other thing. Some coaches will tell you like, be vague, be anonymous, don't put Team Beachbody in your in your work and all that stuff. Like that's what I am. I'm proud of it. I'm a coach. It's what helps my life in many different capacities. And I'm not going to like mask it and pretend like I'm just this health and fitness person. You know what I mean? Like guru or whatever. Like it's part of me. It's part of what I do. It's part of what helps me. So it's in there. So when people add me as a friend, number one, they know I'm a coach. They know what I do. They know what I'm about. And they know they should expect an invite from me at some freaking point. If they don't realize that, then they're dumb, right? Just like I expect all the makeup girls and all those other people that I add to my network, at some point or another, I'm going to see their posts, or they might message me and ask me if I want to try their product. You know what I mean? So I'm not dumb, and people shouldn't be either. When I'm adding them to my network, I'm not like vague about it. And honestly, right now, while Julianne when I was adding friends to my network, I did that. And while she was talking about the Hey Girls, I have this script that I've been using to add to a sneak peek, right? I'm asking people to come to a sneak peek. And while I'm sending friend requests, I was like looking at two people, because I do prejudge, right? When I add people to my network, I prejudge. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want them on my team. Yeah, I want them on my team. So I'm looking at this girl. I'm like, the difference between these two girls, because I looked at this girl, I'm like, no, I don't even want to be her friend. Like, she just looks kind of sad and lonely and negative. You know, she just has this on her face. She's very pretty, her makeup done. And then there was a girl next to her, and she looked same age, you know, nothing drastically different about the two, but she had confidence on her face. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to freaking invite her. I don't know her from dirt on the ground. I just sent her a friend request. And so I messaged her, and I tweaked my message a little bit right now. And it said, hey, I just came across you, and you are my suggested friends list. I came across you, and I love your confidence. I'm hosting a sneak peek. Would you be interested in joining? And in health and fitness coaching. And I just sent that to 10 different women who look like that, who have that confidence in their face that I see it, and just send it, because it's not going to hurt me if they say no or if they don't answer, and it might open a door. And I just told someone that they have confidence. And if they have confidence portraying in their picture, they have confidence to do other things. So I personally invite everybody and anybody. I don't, I hold a system of like doing it regularly, and I follow Teamsy. So because I track in Teamsy, it tells me like who's coming up next. So they're rated that way. I know some other coaches go off of their people who have just liked their posts, and that's called attraction marketing. So, people who are attracted to these posts, they'll like them or comment. And so people, some coaches will use that as a gauge, like, okay, since those people seem interested in some capacity, they've liked it or commented it, then I'll invite them only. And that can really hinder you from getting very far very quickly. You need to reach as many people as possible. And that's why for me, cold invites are a must. You have to, because you just never know who you're going to reach. And, all people need is the opportunity. There was a quote that I came across that sticks in my mind, and it's, I think I might have posted it in our group, in our team page at some point, but if you could be holding someone's future in your mouth. So by not saying it, by not presenting the opportunity, by not sending that invite, someone's future who could say yes could be changed by you, but by not sending that or saying it or posting it about coaching, you're holding their future in your mouth because you refuse to release it because of fear or scare, whatever it is, So for me, it, like this, it just sparked in me, and I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna invite these strangers. Like, who cares? The least they could say is no.
Well,
and my coaching post. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I even put that in my coaching post last night that I did, where I said, I sometimes feel awkward talking about the business side of this, but if nobody had shared their stories, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm going to just put this out in case there's someone who needed to be where I was 18 months ago. So you can even directly acknowledge that in your posts. And then I'm messaging everybody who liked that.
And I think it was Jen Guthrie. She was talking in a video too about how everyone has different personalities. There's like the colors, like red, yellow. And so like the reds, I think, are more like super direct and to the point. Yellows, which I'm a yellow. So I'm like, you can see we have different personalities. So my tendency is to be like, hey girl, how's it going? Like blah, 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 and over talk things. So I need to work on being more direct. And I think we all approach this differently. So I think it's finding that balance of being true to ourselves and our own personalities. Like, I'm not going to try to be someone I'm totally not, but I also want to push myself outside of my comfort zone and maybe be more direct than is my natural tendency. But also I think it's important to like know yourself and in some ways stay true to yourself and your style, but in some ways push yourself a little bit.
Totally. Yeah. And I think inviting is something like none of us love to do. I was actually listening to a call with Melanie that she was doing on a personally sponsored coaches page. So Monique, you haven't heard this one. And she was talking about how she hates cold inviting, and she is the number one coach in the company. She forced herself to do it, but it's like, this isn't my strength. I don't love it. I know I need to do it, but I'm going to get so freaking good at attraction marketing that people are going to come to me. And so that's where she started using her blog and doing her like page and posting ads so that people would come to her, because she hated inviting so much, which is funny. And it's just something you have to do. And I would say that, I think Monique would echo this, and maybe Julianne even a little bit, like, I'm pretty public with the fact, like Monique is like, I'm a coach. I love it. I talk about it a lot. I'm not ashamed of it. So I don't think anybody's surprised when I do invite them at some point, because it's not going to be like, what? She's never talked about this before. So like, you just have to do it. And it's scary, but you just do. And people like Kelsey, we were talking about this last night a little bit, like people will say no. I've gotten so many no's. And there are people who turn around and say yes a year later. Like, you cannot let it derail you. You just have to keep. Nicole's one of them. I know. She's been on my like.
I was too. I told Abby no.
I know. Yeah. See?
That was Abby's first coach.
I know. You were like my first coach to Emerald. You're like my leader. So you just like never know, and you can't give up on people, but it sparks like a seed in their brain. So even if they say no right now, they're going to be like, oh, what did Kelsey invite me to? And they're going to start watching you. So it all like ties together.
Or I've had people straight up be like, oh, you do Beachbody? That's a pyramid scheme. Get out. And in that case, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, she clearly has a strong opinion about this.
Yeah.
That's fine. Move on. What is it? Brittany Leggett says or whatever. Brittany Leggett has some quote about that. Like, yes, no, something, move on.
Yep.
Like,
release, bless and release. Just be like, and then address it in a post later that you're going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can't let it scare you. You just have to do it, and you'll find, like Julianne was saying, like different things work. And I do all sorts of different things at different times. Like sometimes I literally just flat cold invite and say, hey, don't know if you're interested, but I have a group coming up. Other times it's more subtle. So
I know our time's almost up, but can I have a quick request for a future call?
Yes,
Can we talk
please.
about like pages on a call? Like have a call dedicated to that? Because I'd like to make one. I know if we have a lot of new coaches on our team,
Yeah.
people who know what they're doing, I'd love to hear.
Totally. Yeah, and it's actually something Monique and I are both tackling privately this month. She's tackling Instagram, and I'm tackling like pages on like even sponsored ads and figuring out how to use those. So we will for sure talk about like pages because I think it's gonna go that way more and more. So absolutely, thank you. And if you guys ever have things you want us to touch on, please like post in the team page. Like this would be helpful because otherwise we're just like, I think this is what they need. So. I think we have less than a minute. Any last things that people need? If you didn't, I know the girls like Rachel and Jessica, I think are going to pop on and do a video in the team page later since they couldn't be on live.
How they do it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say in like their style and what their process is. I think that's
And when is our next sneak peek for coaching?
Not this week, but next week. I think it's
next Monday. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you. Thanks, guys.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.